Okay, everyone, so we are going to be working on our Wayne Thiebaud, happy 100th birthday, Mr. Thiebaud, on our Wayne Thiebaud style lollipops. So here, what we're going to be looking at are these very simple shapes, circles with this long rectangular shape, although rounded off at the end, these half circles, and also creating sort of that side view that we've been talking about. We're making it look a little more 3D by showing the face of the lollipop and part of the side of the lollipop. So this is my rough sketch. I was working it out whether I liked it better with 4 or with 6 here, and I think for our sake, I think for now I'm going to stick with the 4. You can always add more later. My top is a little thick, so I think I could do 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to be kind of up close. Well, it's okay. All right, let's test it out. So I'm going to just trace my shape. Maybe this is a little big. I also suggest using sort of a flatter round shape to trace because when I used my coffee cup, it was a little difficult. So 1, 2, 3, and you notice how I'm kind of curving them a little bit so they kind of look a little less in a row. 3, and actually 3 looks okay. I'll start with 3. I can always add more later. So I'm going to just make 1 line down, 1 line down, 1 line down. So far it could be a balloon or many other things. And then I'm going to draw a parallel line next to it, and I'm just going to round it off. This way it looks like it's stuck in a stand. Try to be as careful as possible. You could use a ruler or trace a popsicle stick if you want. Now in this sample, I followed along kind of with his idea of how I wanted to make a base for it to hold. I'm going to go a little simpler and just kind of make this rounded shape, kind of like a hill. Just like that. I can get fancier later. I just want to concentrate on our shapes and how we make it look a little more 3D. So we have the rounded shape. So if we go along the edge and we just follow that shape, you'll notice how I kind of use my hand to guide me as if I'm making a curved parallel line next to it. And I'm going to do that here as well. And this way it looks like we can see, I should have went a little further. I'm going to just do it, not worry about erasing because later I can always cover that up. So here I have my 3 lollipops. I can see the sides of them. So as long as these 3 are in the front, I can always add more back to the background later. So here is where you know I go next. I love a good strong outline. And 2 of my Sharpies are on their last legs. But if I go slow enough, they work beautifully. Just trace around your lines. Trace around your lines. One of the things Wayne Thiebaud is famous for, although he's famous for many, is his use of color. He really loved to use very bold and bright colors. And he liked to mix a lot of white with his colors to kind of make them look more pastel-y. The reason for that is a lot of his subjects were of cakes, pastries, pies, things that repeated, so he would draw more than one usually. That's why we're doing more than one here. And he loved to put these simple geometric shapes to work, and he loved to repeat them. And so that's what we're going to do in honor of Mr. Thiebaud. So remember that mistake I made? I can kind of hide it here. There we go. It'll be hidden in the side. So there are my 3 to get started. Now, once I get to this part, now is when I can decide on a decoration. So you certainly can decide on a decoration. I'm going to borrow that idea from when we made our pumpkins. Those curvy lines radiating out from the center. Kind of looks like a pinwheel. I could add more, but I kind of like that. I could make a swirl. It'll give me a chance to add a lot of color. Since it's a center one, I like that idea. I think I'll stop there. And maybe here I'll make a star, because I remember seeing a star in one of his. And if you can't make a star perfect, that is absolutely fine. Okay, so now that I have that, you can use oil pastels, you can use crayons. One of the things that you'll notice is we kind of want to get this rainbow, oh, sorry. On his shadowing, you'll often see it in sort of blues and purples. So I think I'm going to stick to blues and purples. Where's my purple? To do my side shadowing. I can always blend a color. I kind of like that together. And you'll notice that in his shadowing, sometimes he does color blending. So that was, well, I hope you can see it. Hold on, there we go. Red, violet, and I'm pretty sure this is a good solid, I don't know. Blue, violet, that would be indigo. All right, so it's a little bit darker of a shade. I'm gonna mix those two together because I really want it to kind of pop in this rainbow bold color effect, and I really love how that looks. Okay, and I might pick a blue for over here. You can wait till you get to each of them to decide which color would look good as sort of a side color, but it should be darker than the color on the face because you're creating almost like a side view, so it's a little more in shadow. I think I'll mix blue and purple here. There we go. So you don't have to just stick with one color. What I do like to do when I'm using crayons is I do like to press hard. I like it when it's really solid and it really colors the space. So now I can think about colors here. And maybe, I feel like my background here, I'm gonna make my star yellow. And because I'm gonna use watercolor as well, and you can use whatever you want. You can use paint, you can use markers, you can use colored pencils, crayons, oil pastels. You can also, I forgot what I was saying. You can use whatever you want to color it, but just try to think about how you really want it to be very bold. Might even add a little bit of another color here just because that seems like fun. Okay, and now I might go with purple. And I could do a watercolor resist with this where I am kind of going over it again with blue when I get to my watercolor, so I don't need to be as solid, show some of the white through, because when I'm doing this, what I can do is I can take my brush and my water. Where are you, brush? Where are you, water? There you go. I could just take the blue and, yeah, you can't really see it that well. Let me try it with purple. Come on, purple, you're a little lighter. So you can see how you can see the purple through the blue. I kind of love the way those two colors look together. Let me get you out of here. I don't want to waste it, so I'm going to keep using it. All right, I'm going to continue with purple though, because I really liked how that looked. And color it in. So you see I didn't just make this a blue background with a yellow star. You'll notice that there's a lot of other colors, even how I outlined it in yellow and added a little bit of pink there. Now maybe for inside my star, I might even add a little orange. You'll see a little bit more of the resist effect there. It won't go over that line. All right, there's my orange one. And now even on my stick that's holding it, I can definitely use brown, but I probably want to add other colors to highlight it. So I might go back and add a little orange along here. I make it look thicker. It's going to kind of create this shadow feel. And I'm going to do that with all three of these. And you'll notice at the end, there's some shadowing, and he loves his shadows in blue, which I probably would do at the end. I think I'm going to make pretty solid, a solid mixture of colors here. I'm going to make a little, again, remember to go in one direction. Even though I'm looking like I'm kind of being a little rough on my brush, I am pulling it in one direction, so it keeps my brush in good order. If you scrub back and forth, that's really not good for your brush. So stick with your really bold colors here. I think that's going to help. Might even add a little brown. Go brown. It's his birthday. Okay, there we go. Coloring, coloring, coloring. Maybe I shouldn't use brown here since I'm using brown for the sticks, but choice is already made, so I will adapt. And my background being blue, I think. I'm using a lot of blue today. For some reason, I must really want my blue. So because my paint is pretty wet, I've used it kind of thick, which is not usual for watercolor. Usually you can see the color of the paper through it. You see how much more transparent it is here? That's kind of the effect I want more so for my background, because I really want the attention to be focused on my lollipops. So I can just sometimes use water to spread it out. And I don't even need to get too close to the subject, which here is my lollipops. I can just kind of let the watercolor run into there, or leave it just a little white, kind of as a nice effect, gives it a little highlight. But you can see already how it's starting to come together. Sometimes I notice a lot of people don't take the time to color their background, and sometimes it's an artistic choice. And other times I'm suspecting it's just you're done or you're feeling a little lazy about it. It really, really, really makes your picture pop when you take time to do the background. And when you get in close to the subject, like this, it really makes it stand out. So my suggestion, if you want your artwork to be a masterpiece, at the end, make sure that you color your background. You don't need fancy supplies to make that happen. You can do it with crayon. You can do it with pencil just by shading. You can do it with anything you have. I got my paint here for $2 at Staples at the beginning of the season, so nice bargain. I wish we were in the art room where we could share supplies, but since we're not, what all artists do is they make do with what they have. So you can see how I'm starting here, and I just want to walk you through the steps. If you feel comfortable and confident with what you're doing and you want to just pause it or move on or stretch, you do what you got to do. I'm just going to continue so that you can see how mine comes out. I'm going to add a little brown here. I probably wouldn't have added the paint ahead of time, because see what I have to do to be able to use it. I just really wanted you to see the effect of the background here. So you can even just paint the background, leave it, take a break, and come back and do the painting. To do the rest of the lollipops, it's really a personal decision. Yeah, I tend to actually do my backgrounds first now that I think of it. But some people prefer to work with the subject and go back and do it later. Again, personal decision. So even here, let's say I was going to color this in. And let's say I was going to color it, I don't know, purple? Purple and orange. Usually purple and blue make better choices, but I've used blue already. So I'm thinking, if I like the way that looked, and I wanted it to look almost like it was orange, I could make it darker at the swirl, and I could make it look almost a little more 3D by on one side kind of creating this shadowy effect. You do it whatever way you want. I didn't press as hard because just a little lighter. Leave a little white. It's going to make it look almost like light is shining off the surface. There we go. And maybe I would take, the complementary colors are very helpful here too. So if you need a review of that, it's in the slideshow. So when you look at red, the complementary color is green, purple is yellow, and orange is blue. So all roads lead to blue, but I have so much blue here. I think I'm going to go with, instead of a complementary color, we call these the colors next to each other on the color wheel. So if I used orange, just a tad of yellow, I might fill it in. So making color choices probably before you begin would be a good start. I was a little reckless in jumping in there, but you know, that's okay. We're creating right now. So here, I just want to show you again that technique you can use if you don't have paint, but you like the effect. I'm going to just take my marker. I like to use it on its side. If I don't use it on its side, it doesn't work as well. So you'll see here, if I just outline like this, it's not going to work as well. But if I go on its side like this, you're going to see how I can use my paintbrush just to spread ink from the marker. A little tappy tap, that usually works. I could add another color in there if I want for all those white spaces. This is where I used it a little less. You see how you still see the stripiness then? So if you use just the point of the marker, you're going to see more of that stripiness. Not a bad thing, it's just, you know, a personal choice. So there you have it. Popsicle sticks, sorry. Lollipops by Wayne Thiebaud inspired our picture. If you check out the slideshow, there's also a picture in there of an artwork that someone did in exactly the same style as Wayne Thiebaud and even signed their name to it. It was a forgery and they sold it at auction. A very smart auction house sold it for over $1 million, and then they had to give the money back because it was a forgery. So when you do your work, make sure you take your time to sign your name. And I have to say, after doing this project with you, my guess is I would stick with at least 3 lollipops. If you're not going to paint and you want to make more, you could definitely stick more in the background. You probably would, instead of overlapping, you would just make it look like it was behind, so it was a little hidden in there. Kind of like, you see how I overlapped here? I kind of like the simplicity of 3. I might add some other details to it. 6, not bad, but I think I prefer it less is more. You can do 4, whatever kind of, actually it'll really depend on the size of your tracer. My tracer was a little bigger, so I could only fit 3 easily. I didn't overlap here because I really wanted to focus on the face of these. You're going to make a personal decision about that. And one thing you're going to notice about his shadowing is that it kind of has this dark blue. I know this isn't very dark. You're going to think about where is the light hitting. So here I can see these from the side a little bit, and they're kind of in shadow. So I'm going to think about where would the shadow fall on my piece. And if the light is coming from above or in front, then the shadow would go back here. Oops, my background's too wet. The shadow would come back here, back here. So you have to think about when you're making a shadow, where does the light come from? So if the way I drew it, it means that the light was coming from here because that's where the shadow is falling. Yep, actually too wet for me to show you the shadowing yet, but it's going to go to the edge here. Okay? All right, so get creative. Look to the slideshow for any other information you need. Think about how you want your piece to work, what you want it to look like, how many lollipops. Always in art, if you come up with your own idea about how to do that, you are welcome to try. I know myself, before I began, I experimented too much. I thought this was a little bit too difficult, where we did a lot of overlapping. And here, I liked it, but it just looked too crowded. I wanted mine to look a little bit more like I gave attention to each one. So you decide what you would like. You see here I did this, 4 first, then I did 6 with a smaller shape to trace, and then I settled on that. I'm not fond of using a lot of paper, but sometimes when you're figuring out what you want your piece to look like, you need to take the time by going back and experimenting before you begin, okay? All right, so good luck. I look forward to seeing your artwork, and have a nice time making it. Bye.